Hi, I'm Dr. Celine Gelgich.
And I'm Dr. Tori Miller.
Welcome to Breaking the Rules.
On Breaking the Rules, we talk about all things OCD.
Obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, impacts up to 1 to 2% of the population. We are here to provide not just education, but to inspire clinicians, families, and people who are impacted by OCD to be able to access the treatment they need in order to get better.
Catch us every fortnight, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, mate.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going? We've got to get better at this.
I know, we do have to get better at it. What else can we say? Hello, howdy, how's it going? What you doing? How are you today? Today we're talking about extinction bursts.
Yes.
What the hell is an extinction burst? Well, it's your brain's way of having a hissy fit before you change the rules on it. That's how I like to think of it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we think about it, like our brain is a muscle. No, it's an organ. Sorry. Get that right. It's my Anatomy 101. Come on, Celine. 2007. Was it 2007? No, 2004. Fuck. I'm old. Yes. So the brain is an organ, but it functions like a muscle, is what I was trying to say. In that it likes rules and repetition and same.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't do same, it freaks the fuck. It likes patterns,
Yep.
all of that stuff. And when we don't do that, the minute we start to try and change the rule, it has a hissy fit.
Yep.
It freaks out. And it will say to you, no, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. It's this. And it just spits out the same messages to you so that you get your shit together because your brain thinks you're losing your marbles.
Yep.
And wants you to get back in line.
Yeah.
But then when we change the rule or the rules, it has its freak out and wants you to get back into it. So why are we talking about extinction bursts? An extinction burst is the fancy way of saying hissy fit for your brain, I would say. So why are we talking about them? Because they're such an important part of exposure and response prevention in the work that we do. And this is where our clients, I'm going to say trip up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say fail. I'm going to say trip up because it gets them every single time. Yeah. Because what happens is if you think about how long someone's been doing their compulsions for, it's the same rule for however many years, right? Not even a few months, years sometimes, actually a lot of the time. If we think about how long someone's been doing the same thing for, the same pattern for, can you imagine how much of a hissy fit our brain's going to have if you try and change that?
Yeah.
It's huge. So the brain's like the density of the neural pathways and the neural wiring is so intense. Trying to change that, of course, the brain's reaction is going to be massive. So there's lots of bells, whistles, alarms going every time we try and modify a compulsion, remove a compulsion, or change it up in some way. The brain's like, what are you doing? So an extinction burst happens, which means the messages get louder, they get nastier, they get more frequent, they get more intense. And so in that moment, our clients then misinterpret that as something's wrong, ERP is not working, OCD is getting worse, I can't handle this, I'm doing it wrong, what's wrong with me? And it's in those moments that we then have to hold that and go, actually, no, this is part of the process. Your brain's having an extinction burst. If we can sit through the burst, the light is at the end.
Yeah.
And we get through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And then change is going to happen.
Yeah.
But holding through that process is the challenging part.
Yeah.
But if we don't name it and we don't know and we get pulled into that anxiety and we don't ourselves understand what's going on as a clinician, then we can easily get pulled into that and the chop and change happens.
Yeah.
And then we send mixed messages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because look, the extinction burst, I think, is a really understandable response.
Yes.
To attempts to change our behavior.
Yeah.
And I can really understand what the underlying mechanism is that, we've been reinforcing a perception of safety for a long time. And our brain wants us to maintain a sense of safety. And so when we're shaking that up and doing something that is leaving us with ambiguity about our safety, of course it's going to say, no, do that thing that you've been doing for a really long time that keeps us safe. Of course that's going to happen. I mean, why would our brain not like sort of switch on the, protective mechanism?
Yeah.
I think it's just really tricky because I think this comes down to, I think there's sort of that overlay of the medicalization of health and things, which is, the notion that healthy or being well means no discomfort, means no pain, and a wish or an expectation that intervention and treatment is going to result in feeling relaxed, feeling happy, feeling good, feeling relief, and
no intrusive thoughts.
Absolutely. And it's really a surprise, I think, to people that one of the first things you can feel when you try to change things is actually an increase in discomfort or an increase in anxiety or stress or fear. I mean, I think this notion is pretty I know that sort of in outside of OCD spaces, if we're talking about, say, parenting kids, when we're talking about adapting behavior, we often talk about how things get worse before they get better.
Yes.
Kids up the ante, they test the limits.
How far can I push the boundary?
Exactly. It's like, well, if as a way of trying to maintain proximity, it's like it's an attachment-based behavior,
100%.
right? Which again comes back to that idea of safety.
Yes.
And so it's like if kids who are stressed or frightened or fearful are using behavior to using like different challenging behaviors or whatever, and we're asking parents to help their children make different choices or whatever, we often say to parents, like, it gets worse before it gets better. Trust the process.
Yeah.
But I feel like people don't automatically think about that same process when treating something like OCD.
Yeah.
I think that's a really I think we'll kind of understand that in the relationship space, but when it comes to OCD, but it's the same kind of idea. And you're right, we hear it all the time, people saying ERP didn't work. It doesn't work for me. It got worse. And I have heard some parents talk about how the escalation of their children's behavior frightened them.
Yes.
And some people have talked about, because they didn't understand that it was an extinction burst, which says to me that I didn't adequately prepare my clients or explain it in a way that they really sort of understood, that they either feel kind of frightened and alarmed, like I'm getting worse, therapy doesn't work for me, or they self-blame and go down the shame line of I'm not doing therapy right. I'm doing it wrong. ERP works, but not for me because I'm not doing it adequately, kind of thing. And it becomes a really significant barrier.
It does. It really does. Because it becomes a hurdle where people easily buy into the story. Because there's evidence for it too, but it's misplaced in a sense, or mislabeled in a sense of things aren't moving or shifting the way that they want them to. And so it can very easily, when you seemingly have evidence for what you're thinking, then it's easier to end up buying into, which is then harder to shift. Right? And it's harder to then, especially when people learn through experience, right, as we all do, they're kind of just trusting our word for it. In a sense. And so that then becomes difficult to work with too. But it's not impossible. And so I think if we can focus on that psychoeducation component of talking through extinction bursts and setting up those expectations very early on, it can be a really powerful way of holding clients and going, we're going to get there. We just have to ride this out. If we can get through this burst, then the extinction's going to happen. Right? In terms of that behavior.
And I think helping our clients see that the extinction burst is evidence of change. Intervention effectiveness.
Yes, it is.
It might just not be what
they're expecting.
What you're expecting. But in fact, if OCD is getting louder,
Yep.
if your intrusive thoughts are becoming more intense, if the
Mhm.
urges are getting stronger,
Yep.
that means your brain is responding to change. It's activating this part of you that's saying, no, go back to the way it was. So it means that your brain is relearning.
Yes.
And that is actually a good thing. So
It is.
stay with it.
Yes.
Yeah, discomfort isn't dangerous.
No, not at all. Not at
Yeah.
all. An analogy I used to use is we can't just, run once or walk once and expect to be fit.
Yeah, that's right.
And we can't run or walk going la 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 the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Once
that's
that
right.
hill comes, you're like, fuck this. Like, you're breathing out of your butt. It's painful. Your lungs are on fire. Everything hurts. Especially the next day when you can't sit down because your legs are sore or whatever.
Yeah.
Especially when you haven't worked out for a while or something like that, or moved your body for a while. It's pain.
Absolutely.
It's pain, and we're trying to change our body or make out, in terms of increasing fitness or whatever it might be. Any change that we're working on, we have to go through that little painful part first before the good stuff happens.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So what are some ways you think we could coach our clients through an extinction burst? Like, what comes to mind for you?
I mean, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is the importance of psychoeducation.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be step one.
Mm-hmm.
And probably one that I used to miss, I think, if I think back.
Yep.
Maybe I did, or maybe I perhaps it was how I was explaining it. But I would say that starting with psychoeducation about the fact that sort of this is a thing to be expected and this is what it might feel like. And I could also what I do now, which I didn't used to do, is invite my clients to observe it. And so to sort of sit in a position of just neutral observer of the experience and sort of report back, so to speak, so that way they're sort of going into it with eyes wide open, they're expecting it, they're curious, so taking sort of that non-judgmental, neutral stance, I think really helps them sort of move through it, I think, rather than sort of like resist it or fight it or, so that's one thing that I do. What about you?
I usually encourage clients to try and lean into it as much as possible in the moment.
Yeah.
So I often bring it in to exposure sessions. So, for example, if we're actively doing an exposure therapy session and the reflection is, this is really hard, I'm finding this really challenging, or whatever it might be that the client is saying, just being curious. And I often think out loud going, I wonder if an extinction burst is happening.
Yeah.
And let's observe that and see what happens. And so we just kind of be curious.
Yeah.
And then also set it up for homework. So thinking, okay, we've been working on this stuff. How is OCD going to show up?
Yeah.
What's it going to say? What's it going to do? How loud is it going to get?
Yeah.
All burst language in terms of like, what's the hissy fit going to look like?
Yeah.
So that you can go in prepared.
Yeah.
And then what tools can you use?
Being reluctantly willing, right?
Yeah, reluctantly willing.
Yeah.
And what tools can you use to help you sit through the burst until you can write it out? And oftentimes clients will come back going, it was too hard. I couldn't or whatever. And that's fine. There's nothing, it's hard. Change is hard. And so it's like, okay, well, what showed up? How did it show up? What surprised you? And what can we do differently next time? Because everything's data, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
Every time an extinction burst happens, you learn what it looks like and you learn about how you respond to it too. And I think that data is really important because then the next time it happens, you can go in differently and approach it differently. And at the same time, I think what can happen too is start to recognize the pattern of the bursts and recognize too that the length of time between burst and your ability to cope gets longer and longer, which is change.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not that they're never going to happen again.
Yeah.
They are still going to show up. It's just less frequent and less intense.
Yeah.
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 So a really handy thing to think about to help shift clients along.
And I think that idea of I know we've talked about this before about the use of data and data collection with OCD is an interesting one. It's certainly sort of like a big component of CBT therapies. And I think that it's got a valuable role to play. However, we've also talked about how doing things like collecting SUDs, the subjective unit of distress scale, getting people to focus on like what level of intensity your distress is at can be problematic because then people can become it can interrupt acceptance of distress, and success can sometimes be measured in terms of how low your distress is as opposed to your willingness to accept and to sit with, or your ability to move through discomfort, which is not the right message. Because a lot of this distress can't be extinguished.
That's right.
So I think data collection, needs to be used carefully in this space. However, I do think that this is one of those places where it's useful, because if you can help your clients to see it, to use data in sort of like a neutral, non-judgmental, curious. Like, let's just be curious about how
about what's going
on. As opposed to let's measure and then we can celebrate if your distress comes down. I think is really different.
I think the thing to celebrate is, how did I cope through that? And cope doesn't mean I got through without pain. It's, was I able to handle it? I guess is what I'm trying to say. How did I move through it? I think, to remove those expectations of, did I do it pain-free? Did I do it whatever?
How did I take care of myself? What kind of choices did I make?
Exactly.
What were the things that I did that really helped me and nurtured me? What kind of things did I choose to do that kind of made it worse, or,
was in line with my treatment. And my values as a person. All those things. I agree with you. I think you can get bogged down in the data part in an unhelpful way. For sure.
But I think that's a lovely example.
Of being curious.
Okay, so we've talked about, so extinction bursts, they happen. They're evidence of change. Which is actually quite an exciting thing. So if you can help your client through psychoeducation, expect to be curious about, and then to recognize them as evidence of meaningful change, then that's something to be excited about. But also to watch out for our clients' expectations about what the change process is going to look like. And bring it into session. In the moment observations. You talked about, which I thought was such a good tip, about using the language, having really normalizing the language to help normalize the presence of extinction bursts in the process.
And setting it up for homework.
And
all of that really just helps manage expectations. Which is important, because I think one of the biggest gripes, not just that clinicians have, that they bring to supervision, is how stuck their clients can get. But also our clients complain about, not that it's a complaint, but like our clients talk about that too. In that they go, I just feel stuck all the time. So if we want to get unstuck, we got to manage the bursts.
That's right.
Hate to burst your bubble. How many burst references can we do? My goodness. Beautiful recap.
Fabulous.
Amazing.
All right.
Thank you, lovely. Thanks everyone for watching and for listening. If you like what you see and hear, please hit subscribe and you won't miss out on episodes. See you next time.